Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we're of course going to talk about NFL schedule release last night. NFL social media teams did, their job. They did their job. They made some great videos. They posted them. We now know the schedule as the NFL has also released the schedule. So we're going to talk about a lot of those things today. We're going to start the show off playing a few of the schedule release videos. I think it's important if someone's done some great work and you have a platform talking about some great work in football, might as well kind of show it off in another way. I know some of you have already seen this stuff, but we're going to watch some of the videos. And then we're also going to look at some of these season odds for every team based on Caesar Sportsbook. We're also going to look at the strength of schedule, the team with the hardest schedule, the team with the easiest schedule. And then we're going to look at some best ball stuff as well at the end of the show. We're going to talk week 17 stacks. So make sure you stick around. It's going to be a fun one. Take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Welcome in. Harry Snowman, Terminal Sarcasm to the house. Good morning to you guys. Hope y'all are ready to watch some videos, talk some football, talk about these schedule releases. I am going to go ahead and say I'm not going to go like game by game. I'm not even really going to bring up many individual games except for when we're talking week 17. Every single year we kind of hype up certain games and then something happens where that game is just never as exciting as we expect it to be. So many variables change in a given season here in the NFL that it's hard to be like, oh man, in week 13, this matchup's going to be awesome. Last year we were saying like, oh, it's going to be so cool to watch Bryce Young versus Justin Fields. And then we get Tyson Bagent versus Bryce Young. So we're not going to get ahead of our skis there, but we are still going to talk about strength of schedule and all that stuff. So anyway, I want to play some videos because like I said, NFL social media teams put in their work this week and probably over the last couple of months. So some of these are some really, really well-produced videos. And I just find it important to, talk about that stuff, to show off that stuff. Someone's put in a lot of work for these videos. They're super entertaining. So I want to highlight some of my favorite ones. We might not complete every video, but I at least want to show a little bit of each one that I like. Right now, I've got 6 videos selected. We'll see if we do them all. But either way, here is my favorite, probably everyone's favorite right now. It's the good old Chargers video, as they did a really great job putting their schedule release in the Sims universe.
Você bebê.
Let Harrison Butker and the Los Angeles Chargers social media team cook. Well done over there, guys. Really great tidbits, really fun little Easter eggs. You got DJ Kirk Cousins. You have the Harbaugh brothers pillow fight. You got Harrison Butker doing the house chores. It's awesome. It's awesome. Great video by the Los Angeles Chargers. Another one that I wanted to look at is the Miami Dolphins, as they did a fun one as well. Check this out, you guys.
Finally, it's done.
Let's do this.
Let's watch it.
It's perfect.
Pretty good over there as well. Great job, Miami Dolphins. You know, lean into the speed of your team and make a quick schedule release video. I think that's a fun way to tackle it as well. As you see, I'm not really a big fan of the really, really long ones. Of course, like what the Chargers did, and there's another one we'll talk about here. But some of these release videos got up to like 6 minutes long. And it's like, for what, guys? For what? Like, you know, they were creative. They were well done. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not trying to knock anyone's hard work, but like we don't need that well of a produced thing at the end of the day. We don't need that long of a schedule release video. So I appreciate that, you know, the Dolphins just did one quick one as opposed to this super well produced long one. You know, good on them for doing that. Another good one was the Atlanta Falcons. Check out what they put together for their schedule release video.
Yo, bro, we got a tough schedule this year. I ain't gonna lie. We good, Bijan. Let's take it to the streets.
Whoever got next is fine with us. Line up. I said whoever got next is fine with us. I ain't gonna let that slide. Think you fly, huh? Me and stay wheels up, it's a ride off. Ain't no shortcut, heading to the top floors. Me and too smart to drop costs, and I got two fists of a problem. Nuisance, who's with anybody not? Me, they losing, I'm proof that. Even when you
Go Lakers!
Moving, the movement is never gonna stop, man. I do this.
We do not care.
Come on, line them up. Fine with us. Yes, fine with us. Say, go and line up. Whoever got next, fine with us. Look there. You fire for the max, do the math, can't put me in or raise the average. 0 to 100, that's the band.
Hey, yo.
So dance on the casket, can't. Two fists, my pockets screwed, nobody not, they losing, I'm proof that. Even when you down, keep it moving, the movement is never gonna stop, man, I do this. Go and line them up, go and line them up. That's right,
He's got green ground. 40, 50, 40, 30, 20. Stride it out, Jesse. Touchdown, Atlanta.
You believe that?
Leave it to Atlanta to bring in the NFL street stuff going on. Great video by them as well. Maybe a bit too long. You know, we'll say 2.5 is a bit too long, but I think that, you know, again, very creative video, and I love the fact that they're bringing in all the random Atlanta stuff. Of course, you make fun of Deion Sanders, you know, being in Colorado now. You bring in the Ludacris cameo. You get the Michael Vick cameo. You go to Lake Lanier, which, fun fact, guys, Lake Lanier is like 45 minutes outside Atlanta. And you guessed it, that's where the Atlanta Falcons practice. They practice nowhere near Atlanta for some reason. So that was just also cool to put into the video. Really well done by them. And we definitely, as pointed out in the comments here by Dakota, we definitely need a new blitz game or just an NFL Street game. I loved NFL Street, grinded that game on my GameCube. I am not going to lie. So if we could get something like that, I would be all for it. We are getting NCAA football back, right? Might as well bring back NFL Street or Blitz or something. Bring us one of those good football games. They're nice. They're nice. Let's see. We've got a couple more videos I wanted to highlight here. Let's go ahead and I liked this one. This one was pretty fun. So we talk a little bit about skits and stuff. Check out what the Vikings did.
Welcome to the home of Vikings innovation. After months of anticipation, we are thrilled to finally share the next generation of the Minnesota Vikings. And now, this fella can tell you all about it.
Since 1961, we've focused on giving you a schedule that's remarkably easy to use and beautifully designed. Today, we're pushing what users love most about the Vikings schedule even further. And also available for the first time, Vikings Night Mode. But what good is a Vikings schedule without processing power? Presenting the MV24 processor, a cutting-edge technology that soars beyond imagination.
Oh my goodness! Touchdown, Vikings!
The 2024 Vikings schedule is here.
I mean, come on. Come on. You can't watch that video and not just sit back and you know what? I'm going to play the applause sounder. So well done. They, of course, do the little Apple commercial type deal there. I think that was very, very creative. The dark mode, just changing the background of the graphic from white to black. Well done, Minnesota. That was super, super fun. Check the Jaguars out as well. They did a really fun job. I saw someone talk about it, in the comments. We'd say what they say, but check out what the Jaguars did. Great job by the Jacksonville Jaguars team as well. Super cool bringing back the old school animation, little superhero stuff. Cool stuff by them. Also loved the Aaron Rodgers dig, the villain from New York, the Jets villain holding a My Own Research folder. Funny. Funny. And the last one I want to show you, we won't watch it all, but I think you guys will like this. It did really, really well last year. The Tennessee Titans release video as well was pretty fun. And we won't watch it all. We just want to watch a couple of
Hey
these.
guys, Red Stallion Girl. I'm here back on Broadway.
Oh, the Bengals. Yeah, I love the Bengals.
Love the Bengals.
Love Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They peaked in 1970.
And
Over the cheese.
okay.
Okay, so Alex Earl's boyfriend.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. That's Dak Prescott.
So we've seen that bit before from the Titans, just going down Broadway asking fans to talk about the logo, guess what team it is, and say something about it. Funny stuff, just watching regular people that have no earthly idea anything going on in NFL, trying to talk about some of the NFL teams. Even the one poor woman being kind of knows about the Bengals for some reason, but just doesn't know the logo. Like, how are you going to say, oh, that's the Bengals, I love Joe Burrow, and, talk about the team, and then it's just the Bears? Funny stuff, anyway. So well done by the NFL social media teams. Lots of great videos out there. I couldn't show them all. In fact, I didn't want to spend 17 minutes playing videos, but that's just how it goes here on Wake and Take. Sometimes we just do that, and I hope that you guys enjoyed watching these super well-produced videos. Again, just one more round of applause to the NFL social media teams and everyone that came together to put this stuff and make these little videos, fun little stuff that we got to do today. So with the NFL schedule release coming out, we now have some information about the games that are going to be played this year. It's awesome. It's awesome. We have strength of schedule. We have the Week 17 matchups for best ball. And then, of course, we have some season odds already at some Vegas sports books. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about those season odds. You can check out really anything you need to know about NFL schedules at NFL.com. They have a compilation of all the social media schedule release videos. That's where I found some of these. They have all the odds by conference. They have the strength of schedules by their team, all of that stuff. So I highly recommend going to NFL.com, but we're going to do it. Like, that's just what we're about to do. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. This is the strength of schedule, or not. This is not the strength of schedule. This is win projections by Vegas. I think specifically the Caesars Sportsbook for every AFC team from top to bottom. So as expected, probably for most of us, the Kansas City Chiefs are projected to win the most games in the AFC at 10.9 wins. Their win total right now at Caesars Sportsbook is 11.5. And you don't really want to ever try to take the under or really the over on those types of odds especially when it comes to the Chiefs. So, but it's there. It's there. Some other interesting stuff by them, of course, make the playoffs at -500, win the division at -245, and then some plus odds, of course, at winning the conference and winning the Super Bowl. I don't think you're ever really going to find favorite odds for that. The next best team based on projections right now in their schedule is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're projected to win 10.5 games, and that is actually where Caesars Sportsbook has put their over-under as well at 10.5 wins. They are favored to make the playoffs as well as -210 odds, and the rest of them are going to be positive, as it is a tough division in the NFC North. So 10.5 wins for the Bengals. They are still projected to be a really, really solid team at the top of the AFC again this year. And surprisingly, third is going to be the Houston Texans. And maybe not surprising, but they're still projected to win over 10 games at 10.3 wins. And Caesars Sportsbook has put their total at 10, which is awful to bet on. We, of course, like those 0.5s. We would like to see a 10.5 or a 9.5 to have to choose if they're going to win 9 or 11. Very, very tough. But I think that 10 games is about right for the Texans. And I do think they'll make the playoffs, as does Vegas at -200 odds for them. The fourth best AFC team based on projections is the Miami Dolphins, and the Caesars Sportsbook has their win total for the year at 9.5, and they're also favored to make the playoffs. Makes sense. And as you'll see, with them being the fourth best team in the AFC, you'll see that the Dolphins are actually projected to win the AFC East. Now, they are not favored to win the division. They are just projected to. So that's a little bit of an arbitrage opportunity there. The Dolphins are projected for more wins than the Dolphins, yet are not favored to win the division. So that's a fun little one right there. You can maybe take those plus 190 odds to win the division if you buy these win projections by NFL.com. Baltimore Ravens at next at 10.2 wins, and they are also favored to make the playoffs. In fact, more so than the Dolphins and the Texans at -320. And then also plus odds for the rest of the stuff. Again, no one's going to be favored to win the NFC North right now. It's just a tough division, but they're expecting both the Ravens and the Bengals to be good. And then comes the Bills right behind the Ravens at a 10-point win, or at a 10-win projection, a 10.5 projected win total at Caesars Sportsbook. They're also favored to make the playoffs at 190, and also not favored to win the division. They have plus odds at plus 165. So again, if you think either the Bills or the Dolphins are going to win a division, one of them will, and both of them have plus odds. So that's a fun way to make some money this year if you want to go ahead and do that. The Jets, believe it or not, so the AFC East is packed this year, with the Jets coming in next right behind the Bills, projected for 9.6 wins, and Caesars Sportsbook has put their season total at 9.5, and they're favored to make the playoffs. I mean, So the deal here with the Jets is a lot of this is just a big bet on Aaron Rodgers being healthy. If he's healthy, they could probably get to 9 wins. But I really think that getting to 10 is going to be a tough task, even with him being healthy. They have, I think it was like 7 primetime games or something like that, which is just ridiculous. So we'll see, but it's probably just because they have a favorable schedule that they're projected for so many wins. But again, it's going to be predicated on Aaron Rodgers staying healthy. So I don't think that I am comfortable, for example, taking the over on 9.5 wins. That seems like a lot. And so is the Steelers win projection at 8.7 and Caesar Sportsbook putting them at 8.5. I mean, like, one of Russell Wilson or Justin Fields better be good for this to happen. I think it is just as likely that this team collapses. Now, of course, Vegas is never going to put a low win projection for them. So I do think that you could find a little bit of a fun opportunity here taking the under at 8.5. Just because of Mike Tomlin and how the Steelers have been historically, they usually eke out those 8 to 9 wins and sneak into the playoffs or get close right on that bubble. So it makes sense in terms of Vegas's thinking and the projections. The Browns are next at 8.6 wins. Caesar Sportsbook putting them at 8.5. The Browns, another team, right? It's Deshaun Watson. Is he Deshaun Watson? We've asked this now for almost 2 years, and the answer has still not been shown to us. If anything, the answer seems like no, he's not still Deshaun Watson. So this is another one where I might take the under here on the Browns at 8.5. The Jaguars at 8.5 is low. I think that it is pretty easy for the Jaguars to win 9 games. This is a team that was pretty damn good with Doug Peterson's first season. And then last year, things just didn't kind of go the right way, but they were still close, right? They were still very, very close. And I believe they still finished the year with 9 wins at least. So I think that, if anything, I think the Jaguars are going to be a little bit better this year. They got Brian Thomas. Christian Kirk's going to be healthy. Gabe Davis, I do think, is a fun piece and probably at least as good as Calvin Ridley is at his point in his career. So Jacksonville Jaguars over 8.5 seems like a good bet to this guy. The Chargers are next at 8.2 projected wins, but Caesar Sportsbook has their season total at 9. So if you want to go with the NFL projections, you could take the under there and have some fun. The Colts under 8.5 or 8.5 for their total by Caesar Sportsbook, and NFL.com has them projected for 7.9 wins. This is another one where it's going to come down to the health of the quarterback. I think if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, they should be able to get at least 8 wins. So it's a very, very well set line, but that's on him staying healthy. And then that's kind of the big question mark based on what we've seen from him so far. And then on top of that, getting over that 8.5, I think is going to be the big question mark. So I don't feel comfortable taking any of those or really a bet on the Colts. I think it's projected right about there. The Raiders are next at 6.4 projected wins and their season total at 6.5. Sounds about right. Titans kind of the same, 6.2 projected wins and their season total at 6.5. This is one where I think like 7 wins feels right for the Titans. This is a team that we've talked about a lot on here on Wake and Take. I think they're going to be passing the ball a ton, and usually that leads to wins, or at least close to them. And I think that this will be a competitive football team, so I think that they could get over that 6.5, but it is set pretty well. The Broncos at 5.7 projected wins and their season total at 6. And then the Patriots closing it out, projected to be the worst team in the AFC with 5.3 projected wins and their season total at 4.5 wins. Might as well take the under there. They're not going to win a game. They're going to be pretty bad. They're going to be pretty bad. So that's the AFC. Patriots projected to be the worst. Chiefs projected to be the best. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the NFC's win projections from NFL.com. The best projected NFC team is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. They are projected to win 11.2 games with Caesar Sportsbook putting their season total at 11.5. They are favorited to make the playoffs. They are favorited to win their division, but there is still plus odds at conference or Super Bowl. So if you think that they can make it back to the Super Bowl, there's an opportunity for you there. The second best NFC team is the Philadelphia Eagles, projected for 11.1 wins and their season total set at 10.5. I would take the over there. I like that a lot, especially since NFL has them projected for more than 10.5 games, but also because it's the damn Philadelphia Eagles, and they look like they're going to be pretty damn good again this year. They bring in Saquon Barkley. They extend Devontae Smith. They extend A.J. Brown. I think it's going to be a really solid team. They do well in the draft as well, get some studs that fell to them on the defensive side of the ball. So give me Eagles over 10.5. The next is the Lions at 10.6 projected wins, Also, their season total set at 10.5. And I might take this one as well. Now, it is going to be tougher. I feel less bullish on the Detroit Lions getting 11 wins than the Eagles, of course. And it's mostly just that NFC North is a tough shootout division. And even if the Lions are better on paper than the rest of the NFC North, it's an any given Sunday type thing, and divisional matchups can really go any which way. So I still think it's fair, even as good as the Lions are, to project them to split their divisional games. Win one, lose one. And that's already 3 losses, which would put you right at 14-3. So then you kind of got to figure out if there's any other losses in there from the rest of the teams they're playing. And I'm sure there is. So it's going to be close, but I still wouldn't mind taking the over on 10.5, betting on a good team like that. And believe it or not, the Falcons are actually next, projected to be the 4th best team in the NFC at 9.9 wins. Their season total set at 9.5, and they're favored to both win the division and make the playoffs. It feels about right. I don't think I'm comfortable enough betting on 10 wins. I think personally in my head, I'm expecting 9 and just hoping the rest of the division isn't that good and they can still win the division off of 9 wins, which is kind of what we saw last year. And I do think that they'll win some games and, of course, be better than last year. But still, they have some holes on defense. Still, it's a new head coach and a new system in general. So I could see some growing pains. They also start the year really, really hard with 3 absolute gauntlet games, Steelers, Chiefs, then Eagles. So they could start off slow, which will hurt, the momentum. So I don't know. 10 wins, I think, is hard to bet on, even as a Falcons fan. 9 feels right. The Packers are next at 9.8 projected wins, and Caesars Sportsbook has their season total at 10. They're favored to make the playoffs, which makes sense. But 10 wins, right at 10 again. If it's right at 10, it's going to be hard to bet. You want to see a 9.5 or a 10.5. The next team is the Rams at 9.2 projected wins, and their season total at 8.5 from Caesars Sportsbook. I like taking the over there, as the NFL does as well, projecting them for more than 8.5 wins. And I think that's fair. The Rams, again, going into a year with Cooper Kupp now a year removed from his injury recovery, Matthew Stafford now a year removed from his injury recovery, Puka Nacua going into year 2 in general. I think that this Rams team is being slept on, and I actually like the plus 105 odds to make the playoffs as well. I like the Rams this year. Dallas Cowboys, 9.1 wins. They're projected, but Caesars Sportsbook puts them at 10.5. I like the under there. I think right at 10 games feels right. 9 wins as NFL projected feels right as well. Dak Prescott is either really good or really bad. And when that's the case with your quarterback, the season can go any which way. And we just saw a really good year from Dak Prescott. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses some of that momentum this year, kind of since that's what he's done historically. So I think the Cowboys could slow down a little bit. I like that the NFL is a little bit bearish on them at 9.1 wins, taking the under on their season total. The Seahawks are next, projected to win 8.8 games. That is really, really high for a team that has a questionable quarterback room and a new coaching staff and offensive system being installed. They have them taking the over on 7.5 wins. I don't know if I would do that. I think I would stay away. I'm not going to let, I think when it comes to these ambiguous situations, you shouldn't put your money on it. Yeah, sure. If you could win some money, but you could also lose some money. And unless you're confident in it, I'm not going to touch it. And I could easily paint a picture where the Seahawks are successful and win 8 games. But I could also very easily paint a picture where they win 5 or 6. So I don't think I'm comfortable. I think 8.8 projected wins is crazy. It must be because they have an easy schedule. Next is the Bears, projected for 8.5 wins, and Caesars Sportsbook has put them at 9 for their season total. So I'm, again, not touching that. I'm not going to touch the solid numbers. If that was 9.5, I would take the under. I think that 9 wins feels right. 8 wins feels right for this team. Rookie quarterback, as good as the team looks, they're still going to have some issues and in the winter months. Who knows, right? The Chicago Bears, I think 9 wins is a great line set by Caesars Sportsbook. It's hard to go any which way with it. That feels right about right. And really, it's just going to come down to, is Eberflus actually a good coach or not? The next team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, projected for 7.8 wins with their season total put at 8.5. That's just going to be the issue, right? They won the division last year, so they're going to have a harder schedule now. And that's going to hurt their win totals. That 8 wins feels right with a tough schedule. Even with everyone coming back, it's going to be tough. I mean, they barely made the playoffs last year, really. The next team is the Saints. at 7.4 wins, and their win total set at 7.5. They have a very similar schedule to the Falcons. Actually, I think they have the same exact strength of schedule. So they're another team that I would take the over 7.5. I think that they could win 8 just because of how easy that schedule is. That feels good. The NFL has them projected for 7.4, so they're going to take the under. But I would take, the other side of that. I would say that they could eke out that 8th win, get that money. The next one is the Vikings at 7.2 projected wins and expected to only win 6.5 games at Caesars Sportsbook. I think that's another one we can take that over on. Spoiler alert, we're releasing an article this week on best landing spots, and it's one fantasy football analyst from Player Profiler does one player. And so it's me, Theo, Matt Babich, Seth Dewald, Matty Kiwoom. We all picked a landing spot. And mine's JJ McCarthy at the Vikings. I mean, we just saw the Linsanity run from Joshua Dobbs. We saw Nick Mullins throw for over 300 yards and 3 out of his 4 starts. I think even if JJ McCarthy isn't starting, that Sam Darnold will run this offense well too. And so I think getting 6.5 wins would be really easy for them. I think 7 or 8 feels perfect for this team. The next one is the Commanders at 7.2 wins, and their total set at 6.5. And this is where I might just take the other side. I mean, the Commanders, whereas the Vikings just have a rookie quarterback coming in. I mean, the Commanders have a lot changing. It's a rookie quarterback. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new offensive coordinator, kind of a new running back room. They've added a new weapon on offense as well with Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey. And a lot of things I think are going to have to go right for them to get 7 wins. So I get the projection. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. In fact, the more and more I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to leave this quickly, guys. If you're listening, thank God for having your ears on. I don't want to go into this a ton, but I'm thinking a really, really good target this year for a redraft is Jaden Daniels. The more and more I think about it, I think that dude's going to be a Konami code, and he's going super, super late in drafts. I know I'm not the first person to say that, but I really do think I'm going to be targeting a lot of Jaden Daniels in seasonal leagues as the season and offseason continues to progress. After the Commanders, we actually have the Cardinals projected for only 6.7 wins with their total put at 6.5. I think that's BS. I think that they easily win 7 games, so we'll take the over. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to help that team a ton. They were already pretty surprising last year with their first year with a new head coach. The defense was all right. It was a really, really solid squad. So I think that they could easily win 7 games. I mean, they're getting better than they were last year. They had Trey Benson. They had Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride is now a year removed from breaking out. So I'm all in on the Cardinals. Actually, 6.5 wins seems silly. Next is the Giants. They're projected for 5.4 wins with their season total put at 6.5. Smash that under every single day of the week, everyone. Under that. Carolina Panthers, 5 wins. Their season total at 5.5. I'm going to leave it be. I don't know. I'm going to leave it be. I don't feel comfortable not taking the over or the under on that. So that is your win projections, courtesy of NFL.com for this season. Let's talk a little bit about strength of schedule now as well. And going into strength of schedule, I just want to talk about the historical reference of this. In 2023, the Philadelphia Eagles had the toughest schedule, and they finished the year 11-6, actually, made the playoffs, lost in the wild card round. Then in 2022, the Rams had the toughest schedule. They finished 5-12, missed the playoffs. In 2021, the Steelers had the toughest strength of schedule. They finished the year 9-7-1 and lost in the wild card round of the playoffs. And then in 2020, 2019, 2018, and 2017, all 4 of those teams with the toughest schedule, all of them missed the playoffs. So from 2017 to now, essentially, every single team with the toughest schedule has either missed the playoffs or lost in the wild card round and not made it very far in the playoffs. So that's very, very interesting to keep our eye on as we talk about these 2 teams. The toughest schedule, according to NFL.com, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the toughest strength of schedule per the model is the Cleveland Browns, but they coined the Steelers having the toughest schedule because they have the 3rd toughest strength of schedule in terms of the metrics, but they end the year in a true gauntlet. Listen to the games the Steelers have to close out from week 11 to 18. Ravens, at Browns, at Bengals, Browns, at Eagles, at Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. Browns twice, Ravens twice, Chiefs, Bengals, Bengals twice, and the Chiefs and the Eagles. I mean, you cannot draw up a tougher way to end the year. I think it is pretty easy to say the Pittsburgh Steelers will not be making the playoffs. However, for those of you who have been tuning in to Wake and Take, I still believe Justin Fields is going to start for the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point. And with that, at some point, that tends to make you believe it'll be towards the end of the season. And for him, if that happens, for Justin Fields to end the year going against the Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, especially the fantasy football championship weeks, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, those are some serious ceiling games. So I say to you, those of you making the weekly winner matchups or drafts right now on Underdog, I would take some dart throws on Justin Fields because he has week winning upside available at the very, very end of the drafts. And especially in the last few weeks of the season, could end on a true tear. Justin Fields is a quarterback target I'm going to be looking at a lot in best ball with that schedule. And then, of course, again, just to mention it, the Browns actually have the toughest strength of schedule in terms of the metrics. But what made NFL say that the Steelers have the toughest schedule is just how they end it in such a tough fashion. So the Browns and the Steelers, though, both very, very tough schedules. It's looking like they're going to have a very, very tough year ahead of them. So perhaps avoid your Steelers and your Browns when you're doing your drafts for your redraft leagues. Maybe even trade away some of those guys in Dynasty, even as you might be able to acquire them again in season, as they're probably going to be slow to score some points. And then the two teams with the easiest strength of schedule, as mentioned before, is the Falcons and the Saints. They are tied for the 31st weakest strength of schedule, or the 31st strongest, I guess. Either way, the weakest schedule goes to the Falcons and the Saints. But the NFL.com is giving the easiest schedule award to the Atlanta Falcons specifically. It seems more so just because the Falcons have a better team, more so that they're saying that they're going to have an easier schedule. They have the same exact strength of schedule score. It didn't really say why they're giving it to the Falcons. The way that I can glean it is just the fact that they look to be a better team than the Saints. Here's the Falcons schedule: Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs, Saints, Buccaneers, Panthers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Cowboys, Saints, Broncos, Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, Panthers. So it's literally such an easy schedule. I mean, you already get the NFC North, so that's, of course, or NFC South, so that's really going to be easy. And then their other division is the AFC West, which really right now only the Chiefs project to be that good. So yeah, Falcons got themselves an easy little schedule this year. Get your Falcons. Go get your Falcons. Say it 1,000 times. I'll keep saying it. Get your Falcons. Looks like they're going to be able to score some points this year for our fantasy stuff. Week 17 stacks. The last thing I want to talk about today when it comes to the schedule. I have highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games that I think will be fun to target for your Week 17 matchups. And then 5 that I think might be disappointing. So the ones that I'm targeting: the Texans at Ravens, Week 17 stacks. Week 17 best ball stacks that you should keep in mind. If you're drafting Texans players, maybe also draft some Ravens players as they are playing each other in Week 17. Both of them have high-powered offenses, and outside of Lamar Jackson, and I guess the Texans receivers, Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs, they're pretty easy to acquire. Mark Andrews is pretty cheap. Zay Flowers is pretty cheap. Tank Dell is pretty cheap. You get Schultz. I mean, Stroud's not too expensive in these best ball leagues. So the Texans Ravens is a very fun one for Week 17. Another one that I think will be slept on is Titans Jaguars. This is, again, I really think the Titans are going to be throwing the ball a ton, and this is important in Week 17. A lot of teams are either already clinched into the playoffs or trying to get into the playoffs. And so this one screams playoff important matchup. Titans Jaguars, you get a divisional game in Week 17. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these is fighting for a playoff berth, either the Jaguars or the Titans. So I think that one could end up being a little bit of a shootout, and I don't think a lot of people are going to be looking at that one. And I think it'll be easy to pull off because the Jaguars are very cheap and the Titans are very, very cheap. You can get Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. You can get DeAndre Hopkins. You can get Will Levis. You can get Calvin Ridley. On the Jaguar side of the ball, you can get T-Law. I mean, the most expensive piece is going to be Travis Etienne, and he's like way back there, like 7, I think, RB7. So anyway, Titans Jaguars, I think that's going to be a sneaky one. Another sneaky one, and we've got 2 that I guess are going to come down to rookie quarterbacks. Seahawks Chicago. Seahawks versus Bears. It's in Chicago, so you may want to avoid it because of weather, but but I could see it being a shootout. Again, the Seahawks are bringing in the University of Washington's offensive coordinator. They passed the ball a crap ton last year, and they are probably going to be running 3 wide receiver sets with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. The Bears are probably going to be doing the same thing as well. So these look to be 2 pass-happy offenses. And also, as mentioned with the Jaguars-Titans, there could be some playoff implications here. Seahawks, Bears, keep your eye on that one. Another divisional matchup is the Packers-Vikings. 2 high-powered offenses, probably some playoff implications there. A divisional matchup, so you could already, like, you're already probably going to be stacking them anyway. And then to also have them in Week 17, I think that's a very special one. Another divisional matchup in Week 17 is Cowboys-Eagles. That's another fun one to target. You could probably start with CD Lamb and then get AJ Brown, maybe. Like, I don't know. Probably not AJ Brown, but you can get Hurts and Smith and maybe Saquon. That one's going to be a little bit more expensive to pull off a Cowboys-Eagles stack, but it's still possible. Another one is the NFC Championship rematch. The Lions are heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. That's another game with massive playoff implications, high-powered offenses that teams are and they're going to be fighting in that game a ton. So I like those, and also easy to pull off. You could probably start with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you probably won't be able to get Amon-Ra or Gibbs if you do that. So you can maybe do it the other way around, like maybe try to get Amon-Ra or Gibbs to start, and then like get Deebo Samuel, Kittle. You probably won't get CMC, unfortunately, but you can still do the pass catchers, Ayuk, and get some Purdy action. Anyway, Lions, 49ers is a good one. Another divisional one is Cardinals-Rams. Again, I think the Cardinals and the Rams both are being slept on in their seasonal, and I think that this also has playoff implications. Being a divisional matchup, you can get Rams and Cardinals players pretty cheap. I'm envisioning maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr., Cooper Kupp team. I mean, that sounds pretty incredible the way that just rolled off the tongue. Think about that. Marvin Harrison Jr., Cooper Kupp, very easy to pull off. And so I like it a lot. Matthew Stafford's really cheap. Kyler Murray's really cheap. James Conner, Trey Benson are pretty cheap. Kyren Williams is not too expensive. I like it. Cardinals, Rams. If you're drafting from the 12 hole or the 11 hole in your best ball, get Marvin Harrison Jr., get Kyren Williams, later get Trey McBride, get Kyler Murray, get Cooper Kupp. You might have to start with Puka. You might have to start with Puka and maybe do Puka and Marvin Harrison Jr. instead of Kyren. That's probably better. Anyway, that one sounded really good. Puka, Kupp, Marvin Harrison Jr. That's possible. I'm making a Cardinals-Rams team after this. Anyway, Falcons-Commanders is the last one I'm targeting for Week 17. If you're drafting these Falcons players, I think, again, as I mentioned, Jaden Daniels is a very interesting redraft quarterback. I'm not sure who you'd want to stack him with. I think it's going to be pretty tough. I don't know which receiver is going to be the one that breaks out for the Commanders, but they're all pretty cheap right now. The running back room is pretty cheap as well. So Falcons-Commanders, I think, could be fun. I think the Commanders' offense is going to be an electric one next season, especially by Week 17. They'll probably have worked out some of those rookie kinks. So again, the matchups for Week 17 that I like: Texans at Ravens, Titans at Jaguars, Seahawks at Bears, Packers at Vikings, Cowboys at Eagles, Lions at 49ers, Cardinals at Rams, and Falcons at Commanders. And lastly, the ones I don't like, the ones that have kind of made me disappointed in some of these high-powered offenses. If you're drafting Dolphins players right now, they finished the fantasy football season in Week 17 traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. So I don't think I want any Dolphins teams, I'm going to be honest. Chiefs end the year traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. You just don't want these away games in cold weather stadiums. That sucks. So the Chiefs probably kind of fading for Week 17 as well. The Jets are heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. So this one could go either way. These AFC East divisional matchups, historically, either the Bills absolutely destroy the Jets, so it doesn't even matter. In fact, let's just remove it. This is the Bills at home playing the Jets for playoffs. Josh Allen's going to go wild. Bills at Jets is probably, or Jets at Bills is probably a really good one for the Bills. Actually, forget I said anything. That's a fine matchup. A bad one, though, the Colts heading to New York to take on the Giants in Week 17. A stingy defense, cold weather, away game. Ugh. And lastly, Bengals. They end the season heading to Denver to take on the Broncos. Now, that could end up being good. So I don't think I'm going to totally fade that one, because I do think the Broncos are actually going to be a pretty decent team next year. I believe in Bo Nix and Troy Franklin and the rest of that Broncos team for some reason. And I'm not sure if that defense is actually going to be that good. So it could end up okay. But I don't think it's necessarily got shootout written over it. I think it might just end up being fine. So that is Bengals at Broncos for another mediocre to bad one. But the bad ones are definitely Dolphins at Browns, Chiefs at Steelers, Colts at Giants. Ugh, those are gross. But I think that'll do it. We talked schedule release videos. We talked season odds. We talked strength of schedule. We talked some week 17 stacks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a very fun episode of Wake and Take. You guys all have a terrific Thursday and a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you all tomorrow here on the Player Profiler, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell so you're ready for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.